Hello, everyone, and welcome. We're going to wait just a couple minutes to make sure a few more people come into the room. I know I planned this pretty quickly, so I'm so glad people are showing up, but you will all have this later as well. And I will tell you that you all showed up on the perfect day, and you've probably felt that, I'm sure, with everything that's going on. Okay, while we're waiting, you guys can speak, I'm sure. I just want to know, or you can put it in the chat or anything else, but what's going on for you today? How are you feeling today? What's the general feeling that you're having? You can just type it. Or if you want it, you can speak as well. But if you want to put it in the chat, that would be great. And whatever you're feeling, I'm sure someone else will kind of corroborate that for you. And also eager to move forward perfectly, physically needing rest and eager to move. Those two things are so great. You will feel that you may be feeling like you want to move forward, but something's blocking you because there's a lot of energetic movement happening. But the fact that you're feeling that means that you're awakening to something within you, which is perfect. Something big is happening, and I can't put perfect. No one can. And I'm telling you that it is happening, and it's big, and everyone is a part of it. That's why you're here. And the thing that I want to explain to everyone is that you're here at this time because the world is changing, and you're going to be an integral part of that. You're going to start to understand it. So we're all doing it. Great. Anything else, you guys? Anybody else? Accepting 3 days of rest, meditation, and internal reduction. Yes. And you're probably referring to what you just moved through, but we're all going to want that, and that's probably the most beneficial thing that we could do right now. And we'll all kind of fear big things are coming, the feeling that I have to do something. Yep, that's why you're here, all of you. And there's something that everyone has felt, and you've all felt it. I'm supposed to do something. My life is supposed to mean something. It's supposed to matter. And you're looking at it now and you're thinking, oh no, what's happened? And I'm saying that you're right on time. You're exactly where you're supposed to be, and that's why you're feeling it, and probably even on this day, because there are energies moving that are causing all of this to occur, and you would be feeling it, but there are certain energies at certain times that are saying, okay, now let me do this. Let me do what that is. And the thing that you're going to do is start accepting yourself a lot more. That's all. That's what we're doing. But it's a journey, and that's what we're going to talk about. Downloading much information with a clear path, now working on the order in which to go from here. Nothing could be more perfect than that. Where we are right now is about looking forward, is about planning something that we're going to bring into our lives that we know is going to make a difference. And that's what you will understand today, because there's no one born who doesn't have that mission, and that's what Wilhelm gave me. I posted something last few days, but yesterday I did it because I said, Wilhelm has given us the path to your success and world peace. And I hear that, and Wilhelm is saying, I said, that's not possible. But then we're going to look at it today from this logical standpoint, and you're going to see, yeah, it's possible. And it just depends on how much are we going to believe. And you will find that the only main difficulties that we have in our lives is belief of who we are. But that's also your journey. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to begin this presentation. I'm going to talk about it, and I'm going to go through it. I'm not going to spend all the time on it because I have a lot there, but you will have the presentation afterwards. You will also have the video where you can kind of review things, because I just put some information in. I love doing that because I investigate things. That's been my life. But I want to explain to you and everyone else what all of this is, and also probably even to my family. I'm saying that because when you evolve in different ways, as everyone is doing now, people aren't going to know you because you're awakening to something else that has always been within you. That's what happens as we live. We don't stay in the same place. But we also are in a different place in the world. the universe does the same thing. And we're in a period now where we're having energetic changes that none of us understood, except Wilhelm did, and they gave me that information. Me accepting it and believing it was challenging, just as it was for you with the thing that you're meant to do. But you're at that place now where you're going to start doing it. Yeah, big. It does feel like a big responsibility, and you will see that I ran from it. I didn't put one message up that I received so many years ago where I said, "Oh, I know I'm supposed to do this, but I'm going to hide now." We've all done it. Don't worry. Okay, we're going to go through this, and you're going to understand it a lot more today, because there's nothing. I'm gonna say these things because Wilhelm has given us all of them. You've never done anything wrong. You didn't screw up. You just didn't understand things. And at where I am now, I know that's true. I'm 74. So I do understand it, and I do know that everything that they had given me is true for you. And that's what you're going to understand and start to pass on to others. Let me share this, and we're going to start. I'm just going to start going through it, and I'm going to talk about it and explain it to you in a way that hopefully will get more of us to understand. And your last development program. Let me move this down so you guys can see. A path to personal mastery and global peace. When I say that, and when Wilhelm has said that, you've got to understand something. No one's creating peace in the world but you. We each do it equally. It just takes a while before we understand that we are that powerful, and that's your journey. That's what you're moving through now, and as you do that, you help change the world. But we have built-in ideas about ourselves that could be a little problematic with that, and this is what goes on for most of... Why isn't my advancing? Okay. There are reasons I know you are meant to live an extraordinary life. I could not have brought you all of this in work unless I'd lived it. So I can say certain things to you because I had to go through it. But you're at a place now where you're going to live this wonderful life because you don't have to do anything that I went through. That's how we all evolve. And I'll explain all of that to you. But you just happen to be... You're existing in the world now at this tremendous time. It doesn't look that way to a lot of people, but we're moving into a new world, and the way that happens is when more of us decide to own who we are, our authentic selves, and that's a journey, and especially right now during this change. Okay, so I'm just going to go through this because I want you to understand. You may have hidden from yourself your entire life. I don't care. It doesn't matter. It's that now is the time for you to do it. In 1989 is when I started doing automatic writing. And I only did that because I was lost. I was looking for something, and I heard about this. It was never anything that I was going to do. But then I started receiving all this information, and I thought, this is crazy. I'm like figuring things out. And I hid it from everyone until about 2007. I think that might have been the year because someone discovered one of my messages and asked me to start publishing them to them, and I didn't want to do that, but then I did. Still didn't want to move forward, but in 2019, I knew that I had to do more. And I wrote a book on fear because that I knew we would be coming up to a place where more people would be experiencing fear. I still wasn't ready to move forward, though, until 2021, and I will tell you that story because that was a momentous year for many of us, and you probably felt it in 2020 or maybe a little bit before. The energies in the world were moving, and now in 2025, this is what I'm doing. I have the whole plan now, and it's called Your Last Development Program, and I have not finished it as you haven't finished your thing, but that's why we're here now. And so let me tell you how this happened. In 1989, when I started doing this is not the first message, but I just want to give you a little idea. The very first message I received from Wilhelm frightened me because I'm sitting there and I'm hearing information and I'm like, where is this coming from? And because of that, I made this connection that I couldn't understand. I wasn't going to tell people. But what you're seeing there is I sat down every single day and I did it. And what happened through my life, I went through everything, healing it. I mean, the information that came through is, I have volumes of it, as you can see. At some point, that particular cabinet, I had to stop doing that. I can no longer write them longhand. I did that from the very beginning. And so that message there was August 13th, 1989. You might have noticed over the past few days that your perceived lack of communication with us was not that at all, but merely a change in the form of our communication. That was because I was starting to hear things more clearly, and it still made me nervous. What's going on? I'm saying this because we all have the same thing. You have a connection to this inner voice, to guidance, to something that's within you, and it gets strengthened as you decide to develop who you are. We all have it. We'll just develop it in different ways. Everyone is not supposed to do what I did, but this was a little different. And again, I still held back. You have something within you, and as Wilhelm says, the thing that we fear the most usually is our gift, because it's so much bigger than what we have experienced, so we will hold back from it. I did that, but then I had to get out of my own way, so I wrote the book on fear, but even that, you can see, was something different. Now, Wilhelm says, you all will live the life of your dreams when you come to understand that your experience of fear can be helpful. When you know it is there to motivate you to move through it, you'll experience the magnificence that is you. I have no idea when that message came through, probably years ago. But now, when I still wrote the book in 2019, I had to get help. I'm saying this because we think that sometimes we're going to do things all on our own. Never happens. And so I got help. I had a friend who said, I'm going to help you get this done. And she basically sat and helped me write it because I had to get it out. Then this was the book, Overcoming Fear, A Guide to Freedom. And that first line that I said, I wanted to do it for so many years. You're feeling that too, with something in your life. And then I still held back. We're at a place now where we don't want to do that anymore. It doesn't make sense because you're being moved to understand so much more about yourself now. Now, in 2020, I'm going to tell you this story throughout this because, as I said, I wasn't going to do any of this. And then in 2020, I knew things were changing. But in 2021, things really changed. I was out for a walk, and you'll get all of this because I'm going to do a full story or a little mini documentary on it because we have to know what's possible in human consciousness, otherwise nothing changes. When I'm out for a walk in 2021, I heard very clearly, we have given you everything you needed to know in 2012. I had no memory, made no sense to me, and I tried to ignore it, and I couldn't. And then a few days later, they said, you have to start talking now. I said, I'm not going to because I didn't want to channel in front of people because I didn't do that. It was something that made me too uncomfortable. I'm not going to be judged doing this. I've gone through that for years. And they said, no, you have to because your world is going to be moving through a lot of changes. And then they told me to go back and find this message to begin with. And today, literally today, you can all see why this made sense. In the United States today, and they said the United States would be the leaders in all of this. And so I'm seeing today that people are saying, wait a minute, billionaires and people are controlling the world. What's going on? And everybody's looking surprised. Wilhelm has been telling us forever. See, because what happens is this. You get controlled by things that have been in your lineage. All of us do. But this was a great one. But everybody will understand it. Money, love, control, and power are intricately woven together in your life so much so that you have difficulty recognizing the distinctions. This very issue is the cause of many difficulties you and others experience. It will take some time to decipher all of this, but this is a good place to begin. You begin to associate money with love, power, and control because that is how you grew up. If your parents or those in charge gave you something of value or money, you associated that with being loved, but you also associated it with your parents holding all the control and power. You then begin to usurp those characteristics and begin using them in your own life. You will think that if you give another enough money, you will feel loved and experience your own power as well as control over others. This is never what you are truly seeking. As you can see, this is just the beginning. Ponder this for a bit. I had no idea why they wanted me to use that particular message all those years ago, and today I'm seeing it. Because we have been taught to be insignificant over generations because maybe we didn't have something, we didn't have enough money, or our parents didn't, or whatever. It's a generational thing. We're moving through a generational change right now. And so within you, you've got to decide how much you're worth. It's not about money. Money is part of it, but it's about your worth. How do you feel you are worthy? And so the universe would then give you the money if you start moving in that direction of owning yourself. That's all that it is. But you must understand we've all been programmed in different ways. Civilization has done that, which is why we're moving through a huge change right now. And Wilhelm has talked about all of this in the channeling sessions. Then, who is this for? And this has been so hard for so many years because I have marketers coming to me. Who's this program for? And it's for every human. All humans who want to live in extraordinary lives and leave a meaningful legacy. Because it's within every person, you see. But we just have to find a way to get there. Over time, we developed new ways of doing it. I was given a new way because it combined several things that had already existed. I didn't make them up, but because of the way they came through me, through Wilhelm, they turned into a new philosophy because we needed to change. And that's what's going on right now. Though, but I didn't believe it. And so now you're seeing that message. That came through on this date, February 3rd, 2021. And it goes on because I didn't know this until this morning. I had put some of this together, but you will start to see this in your life. There's synchronicity everywhere, and we'll start to figure it out. Nothing in your life occurred accidentally. We know for many those words might be challenging to accept, but that is incredibly helpful for Roger, for he knows they are real. And due to the current restructuring, he is finally doing the job we told him he could do. Don't worry, this will all make sense. Yeah, I always worry because they give me cryptic messages like that and I have to figure them out. But guess what? You're doing the same thing. That is your life. You're moving through this treasure map of your life to figure out what you are here to do. Every single person. All I did differently than you is I just created a plan so that more can go through it. Healing. We can heal, and that's what we're attempting to do now. Everything that you're seeing in the world is a call for healing within you and within everyone else. Now, healing takes place in many forms, including physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. Even what you consider your physical death is eventually felt by you as healing. Those are certain things that we don't even talk about. We don't even look at the death. I'm not going to look at that yet. Except why not? That's going to happen. And so if we stop being afraid of our death, you see, because that's another way that people can control you. They're going to kill you. So that you'll be controlled. But when you understand you are this being, I'm going to talk about something else. We'll go through it in the one of the messages, because you'll hear terms about past lives and other lives, and a lot of people don't get that at all. You don't think about it. But if you think about consciousness, you will begin to understand it, and we'll go through a little bit of that. The mind-body connection. Certain things that you won't believe you can accomplish. I didn't believe this. I heard this my entire life about mind-body connection, and I'm also a person. I grew up in the religion of Christian Science, which we didn't use medicine or all of that to heal. I had to use everything. I had every illness. I had every disease. I had everything. They're all gone because there is a connection. Now, I'm not saying everyone will do this because you may not stay with it. I just want people to know what is available. And this is why I'm putting all this work together. I've healed things with this work, and it came through Wilhelm. I didn't know this. And it's caused me to heal things that people will say that's an incurable disease. I'm going, no, it's not. And we have more ability to do things if we just get control of using our consciousness. That's all that it is. It takes time, and sometimes we will go through really difficult. I went through so many dramas and traumas that I can't even tell you, but it's all right now because I know that I've accomplished something and can give something to everyone else. But I'm saying you have exactly the same makeup. Now, let me tell you why I know this. I didn't have an easy life. That's me in high school. Feeling like a complete imposter, and I had other people always telling me that I could do things. I was afraid my entire life. I couldn't do anything, and then I'm living through trauma in the world. At my age, I that picture up there was in 1968 in Chicago, which is where I was. It was a real tumultuous time, just as it is now in the world. So I know the changes. They're evolutionary changes that we move through always, and those changes are in our consciousness. How much are we going to be willing to accept ourselves and others, and then how much are we going to be willing to create the world we want to have? That's what's going on. Then in this, that picture's on the bottom. Self-neglect can lead to disease. And that's exactly what happened for me. I started with Wilhelm in 1989. By 1994, I had lost myself because I gave it away to everyone else. And then I got sick because I wasn't taking care of me. This is why I want people to understand your life is the most important. And so I went through all these illnesses. And I had to learn everything again. I became drug addicted. I became clinically depressed. I had to learn how to walk. I lost part of my left foot. I went through every possible thing you can imagine. That home there that you see on the bottom, that was my home. Gone. Everything was gone. And I've gone through that many times. Even when I was a child, we lost our home when I was 19 years old. Nothing. And going through it again. I'm saying this because you are not your stuff. You're not your drama, you're not your problems, you're not any of that. You have learned things to now progress if you could understand that it was given, that was part of your path. And that's what I know now. I didn't know it while I was going through it, and I had spent years in misery. So I do understand. Then, who is Wilhelm? Something I kept hidden, a collective consciousness guiding human transformation. For me to say those words to before, it didn't make any sense. I'm hiding all of this for years. But this is exactly what's come out. And it's interesting. We have artificial intelligence now. That's helped me. Because see, I started doing this when we had nothing. No internet, I'm out on a limb, so to speak. But now I can do so much more because of that. So can you, actually. That's what you're going to find out. Now, synchronicity. There are cycles that we don't completely understand of our planets and our energy that's moving. And there's a big cycle that we're moving through right now that started in 2008. And so when they told me to go back and find just the beginning of a message from 2008 on this date, you will see that you will resonate with some part of it. When you operate from a particular set of made-up rules and judgments from others, you effectively cut off your own free choice and spontaneity to act in the present moment. Don't spend time trying to figure out where this all originated. Simply know that you have the ability to change it in your moment of now. We're going to have all kinds of things that are built up within us. Maybe they came from our family or parents, but usually they came from our society, our surroundings, and all of that. So we have to decide, can I chart my own path now? Can I start to own who I am? And that's where we all are now. The evolution of consciousness, we all will move through this in different ways, but I think it's really important for us to understand it because we're going to see other people who are not going to understand any of this and not going to want to talk to you about it. And so you've got to get your own understanding of who you are. And so, but there are different things that have been discovered over years from researchers, scientists, inventors, whatever. And these are basic things that happen throughout our civilization. Several years ago, I was led to, well, they had me doing this, and you might have heard this in some of the sessions. They said, if more of you would study your history, you wouldn't be so afraid now. See, that meant that you could see that we've gone through big changes in the world. We're just doing a huge one now. No one is done, but still we can move through them because we have the ability to guide our lives when we start to take care of our control of our consciousness. That's all. Okay, the role of channeling it, higher consciousness. I did a little more research because it never made sense to me. If you Many of you have been to a Wilhelm channeling session, or you might have had a private channeling session. I don't remember them. I just want you to understand, I don't know what's happening. I am making a connection to universal consciousness, and that's been a struggle for me because I don't remember. I go back and I look at the messages and I go, where did it come from? You have something like that as well. There's all these things within your consciousness that just keeps getting developed. That's all. And it's all a mindset shift for each of us, no matter where we are. Levels of consciousness. I'm just going to leave this because I want people to have this. You'll find your place in certain areas in your life where you're moving through. You'll start to recognize things, usually from your parents, from those who came before. You start seeing them all of a sudden and recognize they're being holding you back and they're conditioning, but you're here to do something new. But then integrating that into who you are now may take some time. And then and they're generational patterns, you see. Embracing self-worth. That's probably the main difficulty that we all have, because that worth that you have in you is always outside there. It's always in front of you. So you've got to do something to actualize it. And sometimes we become afraid of that. And I was totally afraid of it, so I do get it. Now, how consciousness shapes reality. You've probably studied so much of this. There was one book by Cybernetics, one of the books I studied many, many years ago, and he's Maxwell Maltz. He's redone it again. But you start to see things that we thought we knew, we don't know. And he redid his book because he started to learn more. I'm saying this because no one knows everything right now. You will think that people know so much more than you, and that's really probably not the case. You know something in a different way, that's all. And this is what we're coming to understand now. Now, the interplay of conscious science and consciousness. When I first started doing this automatic writing, it didn't make sense to me because I was not a person that was going to do this woo-hoo-y, way out there stuff. It's just not who I was. I was always interested in science and practical things. Even when I would do some of my writings, I would get very clear information, but I said, let me go and look and listen to a scientist and get some verification. That's what I had to do. However, I'm understanding now that I had this other connection to consciousness that didn't need that kind of verification, but I had to come to believe myself just as you do. What is your last development program? It's a structured journey to help you uncover and align with your true self, designed for real, lasting transformation. You transform when you start to become yourself. I don't care who you are or what you thought about yourself. What I do know is that you came to this world and this earth with worth and value, no matter what it looked like. It's just a matter of changing your interpretation. And if you don't know, that's what Wilhelm's given me all these years, is new interpretations of everything. But where we are in our world now is that something's going on. And so Wilhelm says, well, you haven't thought about other things. What about your spiritual component? It has nothing to do with religion. That's why they said they wanted us to move beyond this constraints that religion has given us that doesn't allow us to own who we are and keep telling that we're just horrible people. He says, we can move over that, they said. We can move to a new place now. That's why this is happening now. And it happens so much more when you let go of your judgment. Why now? And I didn't get this, except Wilhelm told me back in 2016, you're going to go move through a change where there's going to be people left out. See, women mainly and people of color, and that's what we've been seeing all over the world. That's the restructuring that we're moving through that Wilhelm said. And why would it be so prominent in the United States? Because we set ourselves up as saying we were going to be the example. Hasn't happened. Went through a Pluto return. The science explains this as well. And all of the energies just say, look at what you haven't done and start doing that. That's each of us. That's why we're here. Okay. Now, this is what happened. I'm sitting here this morning, and I'm going to read this because, as I said, I hide everything. I didn't know this was there. I even put out something the other day where they told me that it's going to be important today. Give them all the messages from February 3rd. The reason being, I've received things in a synchronistic way that I could have never told you. That's why I tell people I received your birthday. I have information about you came through on your birthday. That didn't make sense. I doubted every ounce of that, and then it kept working. And that is because you have an energetic connection, your DNA. You are in this world for a reason. It's just and it's aligned with the universe. I just happen to figure out a little plan, that's all. Okay, nothing, this is from 2021. Nothing in your life occurred accidentally. We know for many of you those words might be challenging to accept, but that is incredibly helpful for Roger, for he knows they are real. And due to the current restructuring, he is finally doing the job we told him he could do. Don't worry, this will make sense. This morning we awakened Roger at 4 a.m. again, for we really wanted him to pay attention. Then we told him he needs to think bigger, which we are also saying to each of you, for that is why you are alive now and the reason you were born. We gave Roger the idea of thinking bigger because that is all any of you need to do. We did not say do something, for that will come through inspiration when you allow yourself to think bigger. Then we had Roger see a bit of news clip that showed someone in the United States experiencing extreme shame and embarrassment when discovering that some of their conspiracy theories were false. Then the person said if someone had told them the truth, they might not have gone down that rabbit hole. We do love that term, for it describes what each of you has done with your consciousness. It always goes where you tell it to go. All theories are then helpful, for without them you do not have a choice. While each of you is here to perform specific roles for yourself and others, Roger knew he was about speaking his truth, yet withheld his, as you may have done. Then we told Roger to find a specific writing from the Ouija board he and his friends utilized beginning in 1984. Roger thought we were having him search for a message he received from about his headaches, but another one was more impactful, especially for this current restructuring. While we say you have lived many lives and are continually evolving, that is a concept that isn't tangible for most. But relating to this current lifetime will grant you wisdom. We will have more, but for today we will leave with the quote from 36 years ago, June 16, 1985, from Korea. Note to close for all present. There is something new under the sun, and all that it needs to become apparent is a belief in it or acceptance of it. Do not listen when someone tells you of anything, "Oh, that will never happen." Do not accept that as the last word on this world or the people of the unwieldy belief system. Prevailing belief systems are entirely capable of freeing their minds independently and individually, and then collectively on a new way. Believe and work toward it in your own respective gardens. I had no memory of that message coming through, but I know you'll get a lot from it. And so now, this is where we are, and you're looking at it everywhere across the world, and everyone's talking about, why did it take so long? Wilhelm said, well, we've been trying to give you a new philosophy, but you wouldn't listen. Here it is. And then they even had me go and do research, because see, we think it's about money and all of that. Yeah, if we understood fully that accepting all of ourselves would bring us abundance, and then accepting other people brings the world abundance as well. And so we're going to keep doing more studies and figuring out these things, because that is how we evolve. A philosophy for the modern age, addressing what others miss. And people have asked so many times, why does this work? Well, because we're dealing with things that you don't think about all the time. And I had to think about it, and I didn't know it because they took me back when this became very clear. And this is on my website, by the way. There's an article where I wrote I might be racist, slightly racist, with misogynistic tendencies, and people are saying, why are you talking about this? And I knew very clearly, I said, because most people aren't. See, because you can't live as a full human unless you recognize that you have all these energies and beliefs and ideologies that have come to you from other places that you don't even know. So, Wilhelm always says you're an eternal being. They say that because they want us to think about our consciousness. It has nothing to do with the body that we're in now or the particular race or gender that we even have right now. It's about our soul. And so when we can get beyond that, then we live the life that we're supposed to have. And that's what this particular philosophy, which is your life operating instructions, that was the name they gave me, and it was for this time in our world. Now, why this program works? Because it combines science, business, spirituality for full spectrum transformation. Aligns individuals with their authentic self, making change sustainable. Provides both practical tools and deep inner work for lasting success. The main thing that most people are doing is trying to do something they're not cut out for. I did it for so long. That's because we think we have to, instead of developing the belief in the innate things that we have within us. And that's what this work helps you to do. And so you'll read all of this, but just to know, every person desires to experience certain fundamental things in their lives, even if they express them differently based on their unique paths. But the core desires typically include, and I just did a search to give you all the ones, and you can find the ones there that will fit for you, and it's in that program. I've covered all of them. It's what I've lived. And so I do know what you can accomplish. Then, why this works. Cognitive behavioral training. Now, we have learned neuroscience. We've learned so many things. Now, I didn't put this together at first, but Wilhelm pointed it out because I'm sitting down every single day and receiving these messages. Over the years, it was changing my brain. I didn't know what was happening, and I couldn't explain how I was healing. But this is why. And so then they started to explain that everything they have given me is scientifically based. And we're learning more of that now. And they just gave me information to pile upon, because that's what we all do. We take information, use our interpretation, our input, and then we gain more. Everyone can do that. Then, when you're struggling for your business or for whatever, it's usually because some part of your plan has not allowed you to accept the authentic part of yourself. And I know that because I'm just doing it. It took me forever to get to this because I had to have everything else. You are in the same place. You just have to have a new interpretation of your path, and then you start to experience all this glory. Okay, this is how your life development program helps people discover these desires and fulfill them. First of all, everything is broken down. You don't do... I must say this, in the very beginning, I did think people could do it quickly, but that's not happening anymore because you don't move through these things. I gave people so much, and so there's going to be more. But you can accomplish anything. The only reason you wouldn't not reach your goal is that you give up or you don't have a way to do it. I decided I'm going to create something. Well, Wilhelm decided they were going to create something so nobody has to give up anymore. And you'll read all of that. And so, but it's all about elevating your consciousness for prosperity and success. People say, now, why would that work? It's because we've all been taught that we're less than we are when we come into the world. And so we have to start to shift that within our individual consciousness. And then eventually we start seeing that show up in the world as well. And you will go through all of this. I did so many different things throughout my life to get here. But now, okay, I'm going to show you the whole thing. Okay, I didn't set out to develop a groundbreaking philosophy yet. That's exactly what happened. For decades, I channeled Wilhelm's guidance, unaware I was constructing a blueprint for transformation. During times of upheaval, new ways of thinking emerged. This philosophy is a bridge for personal and global evolution. Traditional teachings overlook systemic influences and balance of energies. This work embraces them. The world is asking for a new way forward, and this philosophy helps individuals step into their full potential. A few other things that I want you to understand. Again, I never know when this is going to happen, but they said, we want you to go back and find this message for them today. I go, okay, so let's see what it says. Please allow yourself enough time to absorb the meaning of the intended in this message, for it holds the power you sought to propel your life forward. You had a memory of a pet you once had that you loved very much. Now, because the pet was no longer in physical form, the only thing your mind could conjure was the feeling of pure love. You knew that was the same feeling you had when the pet was alive. because there was no judgment held by you or the pet then, which is the only manner in which you might experience pure love. Now, you stayed with that feeling for a while and carried it with you into a current situation in your life, and then made a decision from that feeling that defined your physical world logic. Good for you. All you ever need to know is that the experience of pure love is more powerful than anything else. Period. And that's the pure love of you. And we don't always get there. And so sometimes we have to be giving examples like this. And this was an example from a cat that I had that I lost, and I just felt so horrible about. But remembering that time when all I knew was love. There was no judgment. We're living in a world now where you're seeing all the judgment. You have to remember that your most powerful thing is to love yourself. That's where we are. So then, sign up for the program. This is what you're going to have. And I'm going to show you everything that is there. I'm going to play one other thing for you. I'm going to explain so much more. You have to remember this, and there's nothing that I love telling people more than this, because you will understand it. And they obviously wanted me to put it in here today. This is interesting. Okay. All of life is a dichotomy. Everything exists all at once in terms that you might label as good and bad. Therein lies your difficulty. When you place those particular labels, it may feel to you that things are being done to you rather than what you are creating. You're always in the process of creating, and in order to accomplish this, you give yourself choices. This is your free will. When something shows up, not to your liking, that is to enable you to make a choice. You would not know what choice to make if you did not have that contrast. In other words, how would you know you desired abundance if you had not experienced its opposite? Begin to see your life merely as variable choices and create from that. It is much easier when you remove the judgment. Your highest good is always in the process of becoming, nothing less. And then in 2021, I want you to understand this. In 2021, when I was told that I had this information, and then I decided I was going to put a few people into a program and see what would happen. Because I don't like to do anything. I don't give anybody anything unless I know that it works. And that's what I wanted to know. Because all the information I was told, I had to have proof. And I had the proof, but I still doubted myself, even after the proof. But we're not at a place where we can do that anymore.
I find this work is very powerful. They change a lot very quickly. It's like quite surprising how things are changing for me.
I want to say how grateful I am that you've done this. And the time that you've put through on this is just amazing. And as we get older and we put through something like this into the world, you don't know the benefits of it until years later.
I just want to thank you for the program. Probably a year or two ago, if there was a tough decision to make, especially about money or anything like that, I would let fear and worry guide me away from a decision that might have helped me grow.
I have moved. I have made some positive changes. Hey, good, bad, or ugly, you did it. That's the main thing.
When you say the time is now, and I always appreciate it, because now more than ever, I feel a little bit more satisfied myself, because especially lately, I keep leaving a project not finished.
I love the program. I love the questions, but I think that being aware of everything that's inside of you and bringing it out onto paper, it really does make you step forward in that area.
The way the questions penetrate into your memory and into your past experiences is so unique. Yeah, it really goes deep very, very quickly. I mean, I'm only on day 3, but the way like the questions are presented and the things you read before and the whole steps you go through, probably a lot of people's experiences, but it goes really deep, really, really quickly.
I mean, every day has its difficulties, but like it's better than it was. You know, I mean, I'm doing more things that I enjoy, and like I find that I personally feel like I'm meant to do my book and everything. And then with the acting, I'm working on all that.
I've been taking so much courses, like especially with this pandemic. I approached different from Tony Robbins, from Bob Proctor, from Jack Canfield, and also I've been following Abraham Hicks, but never really brought me the result that I wanted to do it. So I'm very, I mean, this course is very more, I found that I think it's a bit faster.
Roger, I just wanted to say thank you again, because a few years ago I realised that voice coaching wasn't the only thing that I could do, and that I had something else. But I didn't know what it was. I had no idea what it was.
And so, okay, that was in 2022. I started, okay, I'm going to tell you the whole thing because I want you to understand this, because we're all at a place where we're going to move into different areas, so to speak, of what we're going to become now. And in 2020, I knew that the world was changing, and I struggled so much because I was receiving these messages that were so deep, and just went, and I go, where's this coming from? Because we were all focused on the pandemic. Many people were, but Wilhelm says, no, it's much more than that. You're going through a much bigger change, and that's why we've given you everything. And then they said, well, we've given, and I didn't believe any of that. And then they said, well, we've given you everything in 2012. And then I heard that come into my house, and I look at it. I come into my computer and find a folder that says 2012 that I didn't know was there. I'm saying these things. I want you to be open to possibilities that you don't know things. That things are going to come up for you, especially now, because it's all energy and it's all consciousness and it's all within you. And that's what we're all finding now. And this is just, my deal. Nothing is better or worse than another. And I could say to you probably, gee, it would have been so much easier if I didn't have to live this, if I didn't have to go through all of this to give it to you. But then the other part of me sitting here now and knowing what I did move through in my life, and now I'm feeling grateful for it because I know you don't have to. That's just the reality of it. And for the longest time, I didn't talk about any of it. I held it all back because part of it was shame. Where did this come from? And then judgment. I had even my family, I had so many people saying, this couldn't have happened. I'm saying, but wait a minute. These things did happen and they've been proven. So why are you saying that? I want you to understand you're capable of so much more. So what I'm doing now, when I first did that in December of 2021, I only started doing it because I kept getting more verification that this was going to be that was needed. And then those people that you heard there, they really freaked me out, quite honestly, because I couldn't believe that they said all those things. I couldn't believe they moved that quickly. And I had only given them 31 sessions. And it just kind of consumed me. So now what's happening is I figured out something else. I'm giving everything. I'm giving everybody so much more. This work can change your life. And that I know. Now, I can't tell you that you'll do it, but I know it'll change your life. The only thing I haven't done is given all of it. And that's what I'm going to do. Because this is a philosophy that can completely change humankind. And I can say that because it would happen. You would let go of your generational biases and hatred and all of that. You create kids that wouldn't bring that into the world. And that seems, is that possible? Yeah, and Wilhelm said it was, but we don't believe it. They gave us a message saying utopia is attainable. It's within all of us. We just got to decide we're going to move there. And that's what I'm doing. And so then when I talked about this program before, we called it 4 Weeks to Your Best Life. That's what we first put out because I said it was just a test I wanted to see. But it's not that anymore. It's a philosophy, and it's something that you will own for the rest of your life. Because and this is why Wilhelm, there was a recording you might have heard, they said, we had Roger change the name to your last development program because you wouldn't need anything else. And that's true because you keep going back into yourself. It's never out there. It's always something within you, and Wilhelm just gave us the questions and the way to keep moving and keeping in track with our individual path, and that's what this work is. But let's talk about it all, and I'd love to hear from all of you to see if any, okay, I have a beep coming in my left ear. What does that mean coming? Something, yes. you're being awakened. Thank you for that, Johan. A beep in his ear. That is your awakening, and everything else you're saying is saying it too. Triggered my search years ago. Johan, you are okay. You're going to do such great stuff, and I'm so glad that you're hearing it now, because you were just right, coming about at the same time that you were meant to, and so we just got to have you in. Yes, we need more of you who are awakening. That's what would keep coming through for all of us. And I'm telling you, it's on this day. I didn't know this. I never know. I just follow along. But if you see the document that they told me to create a few days ago, I said, okay, let's just do that. I didn't know the energetic connection to that. And so then what's happened is I've recently found that there's a synchronicity to all the messages they have given me. I didn't know that. I've put out several where there were over strings of years. And you read through them and you start to understand there's a theme there. And they did that. They had me do it for all of you to show that you have that as well. You have a path in your life that can take you to greatness if you follow it. That's all that it is. And that is, again, from the limitation to liberation. Because we're all limited because we can't really own ourselves all the time or take the next steps. And it's not your fault or any of that. It's just that's the way things operate. But we're also at a different time in our world. We've all seen it. And so, but now, that's why you're here. You're here to change it. You're here to make it so much better by deciding to love yourself and move through all the old stuff. And that's exactly what I had to do so that I could give it to others. But let's talk about it. I'd love to see if any of you have questions, if you want to know something. To start a produce business. Oh, Sean, good. I just bought a large greenhouse to start a produce bit. Perfect. Do that. And you're being guided for that as well, because that's sustainable. You're putting something great into the earth, and you're helping so many other people because it's about abundance. That first message, I want you to understand this. Wilhelm kept saying we have this whole wealth and income disparity that's existed in civilization forever. We're going through it now in big time. And that's why today I was seeing all of this, about why do so many people need to have all of this money, and what's happening to everyone else? Well, see, we're the ones who are supposed to accept more of that abundance for ourselves, and that's energetic. It's an energetic shift that you make about embodying who you are, and that's what we're all doing now. And so and just understand, for people who've never seen any of this program, but this is what's coming up. It's you own it forever, like I said, and you come and you work on the assignments yourself because it's about discovering who you are. Then you come to a group meeting. Those are so great. I just hope more people kind of show up, because what happens is, and the reason it was planned this way, and Wilhelm said, too many people are afraid to being seen and being with one another, especially during this period. So if we come together and talk amongst ourselves and get to where we're supposed to go, it's easier. That's why this was created. And I was told to do this back in 2019, by the way, but to see that it was really coming about now and needed now, it makes so much more sense. How do you shift to, let me just answer this, to allow our worthiness to really be known by us? You've got to break through it. Thank you so much for that. How do we shift to allow our worthiness to really be known by us? It is your life path. Every single person, it's just going to look different because you have a different DNA makeup. You have a different lineage. You have, your ancestors gave you something else. I talked about the fact that I could go back and look at, nobody understood this either before I was talking about racism, because people say that shouldn't be you. Go, yes, it is, because we get programmed by everything that's in society. So you have something within your lineages that has just been telling you or your family or whoever you aren't worthy. So now your job is to decide, no, I am. And that's the path. And that's the journey, because as Wilhelm said, everybody is worthy. That's what was said in that. Every soul is born that way. When I first started doing these, they said the one thing they wanted us to understand is that there is no hierarchy of souls. And I kept saying, why are you saying that? said because we were going to be convinced that other people had more than we did, were worth more, and that's not it. That's the transition that we're moving through right now. Yeah. Like you will. I want to cultivate latent abilities like telepathy, teleportation, levitation, underwater breathing, astral projection, and more. Please do it. You yes, you got to join the work. You'll do it. I am. Listen, I could never have told you the things that I'm discovering, and so I'm so glad that you're interested in that because, you've probably heard of sacred geometry or things like that that people have figured out. Or Carl Jung talking about synchronicity. He discovered that, and I wrote an article a few years ago because I was starting to see that Wilhelm was giving me information in that way as well. And many people have probably experienced that when you've been working with this, and that's why we're going so much further. Because I'm excited to get it done now because I have the ability to do more programs and put more things in. But now I'm just saying this because everybody knows this. I wanted something that anyone could do. Anybody can afford it. Anybody can afford it. And so I just want more people to do it because you will not only create the life you want to have, but you'll help change the world. And that's why we're all here. What else? Anything else, you guys? What's happening with you? Any questions? New Earth solar flare. Yes. I did in some of these videos. You will see this. I did a little. I took all of the message from February 3rd, for instance, and I used AI to analyze them, and there are themes that came through. Why you would be feeling what you're feeling now. There's energetic connections. I haven't figured them all out, but we'll get more. And that was the other thing that happened. When this was revealed to me in 2021, as I told you, they said that if I met someone and came across someone, that I would have been given a message on their birthday in 2012. That made no sense, and I tried to deny it, except every time it worked, because I just read it, and it's developing more. And then I even did it with different years of your lives, because they said we've given you basically everything, and they keep saying that over time, everything. And to feel what I have felt in my life, which doesn't make sense, that I'm at this age and I'm this, and I've moved through all those things and this healthy, that's the cognitive dissonance again that I had, and most of us have, because we don't believe we can do certain things, but you can. Okay, DNA activation, light code download from the sun. Yes, that's exactly what's happening. When you thinking about a DNA activation, it is all connected energetically, and the sun has a lot to do with it. But when you came into this world, there was this code that you had, and it's being activated by the things that are happening in the world. I just recently started doing a little more research, and I'm going to have a lot of this because I want to know because I've found that when the planets and energies change at different times, we're affected emotionally in different ways. Why does that happen? And then why do you relate to your astrology chart, those of you who look at it? Where did that come from? It's energies that have been figured out and interpreted over years to give it to the rest of us. We may not all believe in that, but there are certain things that you have seen with your astrological chart that made sense. Then other people do the Akashic records. I didn't believe in that either. I wasn't ever going to do it until I needed help, and I went and I go, oh yeah, they confirmed things that I just had in my consciousness. That's where everything lives, is in your consciousness, and you just find ways of developing, and that's what this work does for you. Any question? Anything else? Okay, oh great. I will learn more. Yeah. We're going to learn. So what I'm doing also, because I never talked about my channeling or the automatic writing or the all that stuff, but now it's all going into the program, and we're going to have little different groups where we can do that, because it gives you, and in these next few months, you're going to want it, because when we come together and just move to a higher state of understanding of ourselves, we move through the world in easier ways. You'll just find this. And the kind of healing that can be accomplished is unbelievable, but we're going to talk more about it. And like I said, I had held back so much of that because, one, because I thought people aren't going to believe it, and then I didn't, and people who were going through things, I didn't want them to feel bad. That's my issue, you see, and I can no longer do that. So this is why I'm putting all of this out. We're at a place where you must own who you are and everything you came to the world to offer, because everybody has something. Anything else, you guys? I just got to tell you, I'm just so glad that you showed up. And whoever might see this later, I know you'll get a lot of value from it, because anyone who will come in contact it will know that they've been experiencing something, and now is the time for them to move and do something. And that's exactly what we're all going to do. And I'm telling you, I said something so many years ago, and people found that so difficult to... Yes, a collective consciousness, Christ consciousness, grid, and the alignment of sacred sites around the world. That's exactly what's happening. That's so wonderful. We're going to all come into that alignment, and that's what's going on now. And I'm so glad that I'm going to take it much bigger. So what I'm doing is going to start advertising. I've never done any of this. I'm going to start putting it out, getting more people and all of that. And so I just need all of us to come together and do what we came to the world to do, because you have it, and that I know. Okay, and I was given this dream in 2005. I just want to say this. I didn't believe it was possible, because I really had this vivid dream, and I published about it. But then I'm looking and going, could this have happened? Because I was supposed to bring something to the world, and I thought that's not possible. I screwed up too much. I couldn't have done that. And now it's here. I'm saying this because you have the same thing. I don't care what you've been through in your life, what you've done or haven't done, you have it. And it's just about developing. And you're probably being pushed more to do it now simply because of the changes that are occurring in our world. But they're all for good, that's for sure. Great. Okay. Yes, the second coming. I wrote that, Shauna, on my... There's an article that I was... A couple of years, it's on the site. I said, we are the second coming or something like that. And I know people didn't quite get it then. Most of the things what I'm kind of being moved to do, and when Wilhelm gives it to me, it's before we have seen it. But now we can all see it. And now it's time for us to just own why we're here and do something really wonderful. So we'll get this all out to you as well. And if you have questions, please email me, talk to me, whatever you want to know. We will get you there, because this is the time where you're meant to become your best self and do extraordinary things, because it's within every single person. Great. Thank you all so much. Anything else before we get out of here? Okay. Great. Alrighty. Thank you so much for being here. And and you'll hear about more events, but do check out the work, the program. You can accomplish great things, and now is the time for you to do it. And be sure to check out the little document that came with the invitation, that just a little history of what this particular day was. Great. Thank you, guys. See you all soon.